Hello beautiful people, Stephanie here, and today we are covering tin whistle materials. Now most people think the tin whistle is a simple instrument, but in reality there are so many variables when it comes to choosing a tin whistle. For a start, tin whistles and low whistles come in a variety of shapes, sizes and keys. They can be tunable, non-tunable, they can be hard or soft blowers, they can have a lot of back pressure, they can even have additional thumb holes at the back, offset holes at the bottom, and there are loads of differences in the mouthpieces as well. And to be honest, there are a lot of conflicting opinions on which one is better over another. But even if you've managed to make all of those decisions, there is still one decision you need to make, and that is which material of whistle should I buy? Tin whistles come in a variety of materials, and the most popular are metals, including aluminium, brass, nickel, and even some precious metal coated whistles. Wood in various forms, including bamboo. Carbon fibre, which is a relatively new concept, but is gaining popularity. And of course, the cheapest option, plastic. In fact, these days you can even get 3D printed whistles and some glass flutes, but I think for this video we'll stick with the most popular materials. Now the material of the bore, which is the main body of the whistle, does have some effect on the overall sound, and this is generally based on the resonant quality as well as the hardness of the material used. But in truth, a lot of the sound manipulation comes from the way the mouthpiece on these whistles are designed, and you can see examples of that in my Howard whistle reviews, where they make a different mouthpiece, and that changes the tonal qualities that the whistle has and the overall sound that it creates. So although the material of the whistle does make some difference, a lot of what's going on will be part of the mouthpiece that the whistle designer or whistle maker has made. With that being said, there are a lot of differences in the material that you choose for the main part of your whistle, but these differences might be, for example, in the look of the whistle, the durability, the weight overall, the level of care that that whistle requires, and of course affordability. So the big question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of these materials, and which one is right for you? Well, let's take a look. First off, the metals. Aluminium. Aluminium is lightweight, which makes it a great choice for low whistles and high whistles alike to keep the instrument easily manageable and easy to hold. Aluminium whistles are also able to have thicker bores in general because of the lightweight material, and that can actually help with creating a beautiful mellow sound without losing any strength. So they're great for keeping their volume without becoming sharp or crisp. Some examples of aluminium whistles in my collection include the MK Pro, the Tony Dixon low whistle, this one which is a Caravave, and even Sin whistles for high whistles as well. And I'll play a few of those now so you get an idea of how they sound. You'll notice that even though these whistles are made from the same material, and you'll find this throughout the whole video, they can sound really different from one another. So this should be a good experiment. On the downside, aluminium is a little bit reactive to saliva, so over time, corrosion can occur in the head and the body of the whistle, but I mean, with proper care, honestly, it's pretty unlikely. I've played a lot of aluminium whistles and I've never really found this to be a problem. Often what a lot of whistle makers do is actually make plastic or Delrin heads for the aluminium bodied whistles anyway, which, I mean, just gives you extra peace of mind. Next up, we have brass. Instrument makers have used brass to make instruments for hundreds and hundreds of years. It has really excellent resonant properties and it's easy to achieve a nice smooth internal finish, which kind of makes for a rich and clean and sweet sound overall. Now, examples of brass instruments that I've tried include Chris Wall, Burke, Lear, and this one which is a Howard. So I'll play a few of those for you now. One of the downsides is that brass can be a little bit heavier, so generally the bore thickness tends to be a lot thinner than aluminium whistles. And of course, if it's unfinished, it can tarnish. So as you can see on my Criswell Sweet Brass, which has had a lot of play over a lot of years, there is a little bit of sort of erosion around the holes here perhaps, and a lot of tarnishing on the body. But this is a really thin, fine bore whistle. So yeah, maybe that's one of the downsides. Tin, nickel and coated whistles. The original tin whistle, meaning the first modern day penny whistle, was actually made and invented by Clark Whistles, and it was made of tin, which at the time was a cheap and affordable lightweight material. And basically it creates instruments with a consistent sound that kind of tend to be quite forgiving for beginners. And examples of these include the Clark Original and the Clark Sweet Tone whistles as well. More recently, Clark have started to offer plated and coated versions of their tin whistles, including gold-plated and a new nickel-plated whistle as well, which I will be reviewing very soon. But there are other whistle makers that plate brass whistles in products like nickel, chrome or silver. Now Lear originally used chrome on their whistles and they've switched to silver plating. And silver plating doesn't actually affect the sound quality of the original metal, but it does give it added shine and added durability. It can wear off around the fingers, or in my case around the mouthpiece over time, because it doesn't really bond and coat the metal underneath as strongly, for example, as nickel plating. Some instruments are either made completely of nickel or are nickel plated, and nickel plating actually creates a hard, a shiny and a durable surface that's resistant to tarnishing. It does have the tendency to make sound kind of crisper without affecting the original texture. So it's great for those wanting a sound that cuts through a little bit more, but perhaps not so good for those of us who prefer a softer, warmer sound. Some people do have nickel allergies though, so if that is you, please do check whether your whistle is nickel plated before you buy it. Gold plating, on the other hand, is a really good choice. It doesn't affect the original sound, but the gold finish is tarnish and corrosion resistant. On the downside though, it can be pretty expensive. For example, with the Clark whistle, it's taking a very affordable whistle and puts it more in the region of £60 because of the gold plating. Next up we have wood. Wood has excellent acoustic properties and has always been used to make instruments. It is a great material to work with, and it always looks fantastic, especially with low whistles as well. Now the type of wood used greatly affects the overall sound, and that's due to the hardness, the thickness and the resonant qualities of the particular wood that instrument is made from. I've tried a few, including harmony flutes, E-Volga, Labu flutes and even Western whistles. And I'll give you an idea now of how 3 different wooden whistles sound. you're guaranteed an interesting sound and a really impressive look with wooden whistles, wood is actually really sensitive to humidity. And basically what this can do is affect the tuning of the whistle as well as the playability as well. Wood will expand and contract with saliva. Obviously it can easily split or become damaged without proper care, so it's really important to look after wooden whistles if you decide to go that way for your instruments. It's a much greater overall responsibility. They need oiling to ensure that they don't split. They need to be fully dried out to ensure that they don't grow any sort of mold or rot from the inside out. So yeah, you really do need to be prepared to accept that extra level of care to keep your wooden instruments in top condition. Carbon fibre. Carbon fibre is extremely durable. It's super lightweight, and basically it allows for some fantastic advancements in design and the creation of whistles that are practically indestructible. It has a unique sound. It's similar to some hardwood instruments, so pretty desirable in general. It's often a kind of crisp and textured sound that can actually range from strong and punchy to really soft and mellow depending on the thickness of the material and of course what the maker has done with the mouthpiece. Examples of carbon fibre whistles that I own include Carbony Celtic Winds, Eric the Flute Maker, Flo Ryan whistles, and of course Dick Fellery. So let's have a little listen to how some of these instruments sound. Unfortunately, as a downside, carbon fibre instruments tend to be on the expensive side, and some people aren't as comfortable playing instruments that are made from man-made materials. As an example, Carbony low whistles, although they are packed with some incredible interior design features that allow you to play low whistles with the pads of your fingers rather than using the piper's grip, they still tend to be a little more on the expensive side. So this one, for example, would be around $600–700. And last up, we have plastic. Now, plastic whistles are one of the most affordable options out there. They're extremely lightweight, and they usually produce a more mellow sound. Plastic is a cheap and easy way to create unique designs, so whistle makers that make plastic instruments are often adding interesting new features and improving their instruments as they go along. Plastic in general is actually relatively soft, which makes design imperfections within the whistles less of an issue. So if you damage a plastic whistle, it's highly likely that it'll just still play fine, even if you patch it up. Another plus point with plastic whistles is that they don't have issues with condensation or varying room temperatures, so that you don't actually need to warm these whistles up before you can play them in tune. They don't really need much maintenance either, which makes them a great place to start if you're a beginner. Some examples in my collection include, of course, the James Dominic whistles, Susato whistles, Chris Wall, as well as Parks and Tony Dixon whistles as well. Let me give you a quick idea of how some of these different plastic whistles sound. Now, on the downside, plastic actually isn't all that durable. It's kind of prone to breaking and cracking over time, and in most cases, it does look and sound a little bit cheaper than other materials. But as you've heard throughout the entire video, and as I mentioned at the start, even whistles made of the same material can sound extremely different from one another, and as I mentioned, that is to do with the overall design and finish. So really the best choice of material for you is one that fits your budget, your expectations, the look you're going for, and your overall commitment to care of that instrument. If you're looking for something that is easy to pick up, play, and throw down without any looking after, plastic is the way to go. If you want something that will last you a little bit longer, look and sound a bit more professional, then maybe try one of the metal whistles. If you love the overall look and sound of a wooden whistle and you don't mind the extra care, then head in that direction. And if you have the budget and you want the best of a whistle that is indestructible and still has the gorgeous sound of woods, then maybe carbon fiber is the way to go. I hope this video has given you an insight into the sounds, trials and tribulations of some of the materials that whistles are made from, and I hope it's been useful. If it has, please do hit that big thumbs up button. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content like this, and of course more tin whistle tutorials. And don't forget to let me know what you thought in the comments down below. If you'd like a video that addresses some of the other decisions that tin whistle makers have that I mentioned at the start of this video, also let me know down below. And if you'd like to support my channel in any way, you can do so on both Ko-fi and Patreon, links in the description, or right here on YouTube using the super thanks button as well. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos where I discuss some interesting things about tin whistle. But happy whistling. Until next week, have fun. I'll see you folks soon. Bye.